Well, it sounds like the quarterback rotation is here to stay.
Freezing temperatures are likely for several hours inland and a few hours closer to the coast.
Yes.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining us as he does every single Tuesday for a little Charlie Tuesday action. It's Auburn message board legend Charlie 5. You were hurting Saturday night as the rest of the Auburn fan base. That one stunk. And there's a lot of frustrations about the offense. Hugh Freeze yesterday at his press conference said, hey, the quarterback rotation's not going anywhere. He's going to continue to play both quarterbacks moving forward. And I think the beautiful part of having Coach Freeze as your coach is he's telling you the truth. There's nothing to decipher. Normally when we recap a press conference so I believe him. I don't think he's trying to, lead Mississippi State astray or anything like that. I believe him. And I think the balance that you'll see between Payton, Thorne, and Robby Ashford will look similar to what we saw this past Saturday.
Yeah, it does. And I know on the surface that's concerning, okay? Because rational, I guess, knowledge would lead you to believe that, playing two quarterbacks doesn't seem to work. It messes up the flow and whatever. I get all that. And I'll tell you who else gets that is Hugh Freeze. Because if the reason you're panicking over this is because you may think that this is what you see at Auburn forever. But if you actually go back and look at his whole career, this is nothing along the lines of what he's done. I feel like I've heard people try to say he's done this before at Liberty.
Oh, Charlie 5, I get comments every day. This is what he did at Ole Miss and Liberty. This is what he did at Ole Miss.
Respectfully to the people that say that, they are 1,000% incorrect. If you take all the years he was at Ole Miss, all the years he was at Liberty where he didn't have an injury. Now, his last year at Liberty, he played a bunch of different quarterbacks because he had injuries. In 2016, Chad Kelly got hurt. Shea Patterson had to play. But when he's had healthy quarterbacks, the backups total see 10% of the snaps. Okay? So Robby's seeing 26, 27% of the snaps. Okay? So this is clearly an outlier of I don't understand all the ins and outs of the game plan. I can try to guess that, hey, maybe this is the way that he feels like we can control the ball a little bit more. Maybe we can extend drives and not throw interceptions, trying to do whatever you can to do to maybe run the ball and just keep the ball away from the Ole Misses and the LSUs and the guys like that. That's the only really explanation that I can have. But for whatever it is, he feels like that right now this is the only option we really have, whether that be not trusting Thorne, not trusting Robby, not trusting the receivers, not trusting the offensive line. I don't think you can see it on his face. I don't think this is what his vision for Auburn football is. This is not the vision of Auburn football. And you could say there's no excuses, and I agree with that. If you have misses, if you miss on evals or you miss on recruits, and this is what you see, this is what you see because of that. I mean, that's not an excuse. You got to get better. But I think I kind of think that's he understands that, and that's the plan moving forward. That's why I'm recruiting my tail off. I'm recruiting up until kickoff. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw many brand new faces, especially at the skill position on offense next year.
Yeah, I think you're going to see it at quarterback too. I'm just so to push back a little bit, and I really don't disagree with you, but to push back on specifically the part where you say he's doing what's necessary.
What he feels is necessary.
Sure. And I wonder, we're speculating here, but I wonder why he would feel that, assuming you're correct. I wonder why he feels that, because I get it. It's close between the two. I think we saw that Saturday night. There's not a crazy amount of difference between the two. I do think the gap between Payton's ability to throw and Robby's ability to throw is larger than Robby being a better runner than Payton, if that makes sense. But I don't think you can deny that there's a spark when Robby comes in. So, like, is that worth it? So I don't know, because we all agree on what the bigger issue here is. I don't think it's quarterback. I think it's the receivers, to be honest. And there's going to be a big chunk of the fan base that rolls their eyes at that. But I do think the pass catchers is a bigger problem than the wide receiver or than the quarterbacks are. And I don't know why changing quarterbacks fixes that. My gut would tell me that it hurts that because the timing changes. Even if it's a little bit, the timing still changes based off of your quarterback that's back there. But if they're so intent on running both quarterbacks often, you don't want either of them to get hurt. Maybe they're just trying to lighten the load and treat them almost like running backs. That's really the only way I can think of playing multiple quarterbacks helping your offense in this situation.
And the only thing that I can really like compare it to, it'd be like small ball in baseball. Like you're just trying your best to manufacture a run because your regular offense, you either don't have, like I said earlier, you don't have a quarterback that you trust to make the right decision, make the right throw, and then when they do, they don't make the right catch. So, or they don't make the catch. So you're trying to call the best play every single play versus like. And that will be like formation wise. That's why we have all these substitutions, because I just don't like, that's not ever been a Hugh Freeze thing. It's been fast, no subbing, RPO, throw the ball down the field. And you have to ask yourself, why is he not doing it? It's because, I mean, the only answer I can come up with is that he just doesn't think that we have the personnel to do that and not get completely blown out, do
you think he's trying to please too many people?
How could this be pleasing at all? Is what I would.
If you don't want Robby to leave, if you don't want Robby to transfer, if you see him being, a part of the team moving forward, that I think that would make sense.
I mean, does anything that I don't know that's maybe.
I don't either. I'm just asking the question.
I think I don't think so, because I don't know that I wouldn't be shocked if neither Robby or Thorne is here next year. So
I don't think either of them are here, and I don't think Holden Gerner's here next year.
Yeah, and there's a whole brand new quarterback room next year. So if you're doing that, I feel like if you're trying to keep Robby, you would want him to play more. You would want him to play more. Like you'd want him to play all.
He played a lot Saturday. It was like I have it right here. Payton had 36 snaps and Robby had 22 snaps. Like
I think that's the most he's had all year, if I'm not mistaken. He's
when he didn't like come in and play full drives. Yeah.
I think that's some of the most the proportion wise, I think that's probably some of the most he's had all year. So I don't know. I just think you don't have you're trying to find, you got two packages. You feel like you're trying to find a spark somewhere, and your defense is playing good. So if you can just break off one play, so like don't screw up, don't throw interceptions, don't fumble. If you can just break off one play, like the Jarquez long run, if that could have happened again, like if you break a run or something, a trick play. I know you hated the trick play. I mean, when is a good time to call a trick play? Like when is a good time?
Not when you're on the edge of field goal range. That's
so when is it? When do you call a trick? So you only call trick plays on your side of the field? Is that the rule? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Or if you're going to lose 8 to 10 yards off of it, you want to stay in field goal range when the game's that close. Yeah, I think so. It's
again though, like every play is a bad play if it doesn't work. If the running back, I forget he's 23, the freshman. What's his Cobb? If Cobb just simply doesn't run into the linebacker and like just runs his route, like doesn't run straight into him, it's an easy pass for a first down. Like there's nobody over there. Like the play worked. You just had your guy running. He ran directly into the linebacker.
It may have worked.
It would have. I mean, there was nobody over there. There's nobody over there. And people. Here's another thing. People saying, "Oh, I heard him say." Double pass. If you watch the film, nobody caught it until right before Thorne clapped his hands. If you look at it right before he clapped his hands, you hear somebody start yelling double pass. I mean, again, I don't want to.
I just think that play does so much more if you let Robby do it, not Holden.
But then everybody's keying on Robby. Nobody knows who.
Yeah, but at
nobody
least
knows
something's
who
on
Holden
tape.
is.
At least something's on tape at that point. You know, they're never going to do that again, right? Like nobody's going to prep for Holden Gurner going out at wide receiver again.
But nobody ever prepped for him to go in prior either, or maybe in the game period. I'm just saying, like, there's a whole lot of high. I didn't have as much a big a problem with that play. You're trying to make something happen, and the play would have worked had there not have been a little bit of. And then Garner can't throw the ball away. That's another thing, because it's a double pass, because that'd be intentional grounding. So you got your receiver that was going to be open. I don't know. I can't figure out why.
That's easy to adjust. I mean, you could just throw a super low ball or something like that in
Maybe
that scenario.
Maybe so. But again, you're just trying so hard to find some kind of something, and you're just having so much trouble. And it's sad. It's hard to watch.
It is hard to watch because those kids are fighting their tails off. You could see the effort, I think.
Sure.
Mostly. In most places, you can see the effort, and you can see they're putting in the work, and they want it so bad. It's hard to watch. Absolutely. All right. The path, though, gets easier. I think we discuss in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs is the best place to get new talent for your small business. You can go to linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. And the great thing about LinkedIn is there's a bunch of people already there. They've got access to millions of people, millions of professionals, and they've already kind of got some of their information as far as what they want to do for work. And so you can use all of these different screening tools to help locate the people that you want to apply for the job and eventually hire. So right now, head over to linkedinjobs.com/lockedoncollege as they help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free. linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Charlie 5, our guest on this Charlie Tuesday. Moving forward, Mississippi State at home. I know there's a lot of people very concerned about Mississippi State and Vanderbilt and Arkansas. I'm fine with you being concerned with it, but I believe Auburn will be favored in these games. Auburn is favored against Mississippi State on Saturday. And so far, what we've learned about this team, Charlie 5, is they have beaten teams that they are better than and more talented than, and they've lost to teams that they are less talented than.
Sure.
Now you go into it. This is the next 3 teams you play, next 4 teams you play, 3 of them being SEC teams. You are more talented than, I believe.
Yeah.
And so far, based off of what we've seen, I think Auburn should be in situations where they should expect to win these games.
Here's something else I think you need to look at is, but you've heard Hugh talk about it against LSU, and you heard him talk about it against Ole Miss, and maybe even to some extent against Georgia. We got to control the ball. We got to not get in a scoring contest. I don't necessarily think you have to have that mindset against any of these teams, because I don't think their offenses are so high powered that if you have a stall out, you could be down by 14. But like if they get the ball, they score, and then you stall and they score again, then you're down 14 points. I don't necessarily think that's going to be a situation. So maybe you can run a little bit more tempo. Maybe you can run a little bit more, throw the ball around a little bit. And I'm hoping that, I kind of feel like that's what you're going to see. I'm hoping that's what we see a little bit. You don't necessarily have to protect your defense so much like you did the past several weeks, in theory, protecting your defense. And, to give some credit, you're not talking about moral victories because you still got to make it happen, but you're in the game other than LSU. You're in the game late in all these games. You just never were able to find that spark. And then eventually it breaks, the dam breaks, and then you get behind. So maybe
you can kind of feel it coming, right? And that's what the frustrating with Ole Miss. I mean, we all kind of felt what was going to happen. We were just hoping it wouldn't, Yeah. And obviously never did. But you just kind of got the feeling, like, okay, Auburn's going to go back and forth and then run out of gas, which is sadly what happened.
And I'm thinking like these next couple of games, you don't have to go into the game. You can go into the game a little bit freer on offense, a little bit freer. You don't have to necessarily worry about trying to protect anything. You just go let it rip. And that's honestly, that's kind of what I'm expecting against Mississippi State. I'm expecting to go out there and move the ball around and move it with a little tempo. There's probably still going to be some packages between quarterbacks. Hopefully, it's not in the middle of the drive type stuff, unless it's, hey, we got it down to the red zone and we're going to switch it out, stuff like that. But I think either quarterback could have success with just a little bit of tempo, a little bit of getting the ball out quicker. I think both quarterbacks could have success over this next 4-game stretch. And this is where you got to have it. If you're trying to get to a bowl, bowl eligibility, you pretty much got to run the table over these next 4 games. And I think we're capable of it.
Yeah. I mean, you only got to win 3 of them to be bowl eligible.
Exactly.
And I think that happens. I mean, it'd be a major disappointment if Auburn went anything worse than 3-1 in these next 4 games, right? Like if Auburn goes 2-2 in these next 4 games, that's brutal. That would be a gut punch.
Big time.
So
big time gut punch.
Well, here's what can't happen. They can't do what Arkansas did, where, okay, they played this brutal schedule, right? Arkansas, they lose 5 games in a row. And it's like, okay, and I talked to, John Neighbors about it after, he hosts Locked On Razorbacks. And he's like, okay, once we play Bama, like we get Mississippi State. And what have we been saying, right? Like once you get out of this 4-game stretch of A&M, Georgia, LSU, and Ole Miss, it's like, okay, we get Mississippi State. And they got Mississippi State, not in the way that they thought they were going to. That can't happen to us, or, the season is over. Like the season would fall apart at that point.
Yeah, you're going to have you probably see some serious. I would imagine if you go out there and you score 3 points or something like the Arkansas performance, you're going to have serious stat. I would imagine you'd have to have some staff shakeup or something big to show that you're scrapping everything and trying to find something to move forward. I feel like Pittman had to do that, get rid of Enos to kind of maybe hopefully buy him some more time. I don't know, but that would be a humongous letdown to have another game. I can't imagine. I just don't.
It'd be bad. It'd be terrible.
It could be bad, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, and I do think Auburn will eventually have staff shakeups, but I do think it'll be after the Iron Bowl. That's just my gut feeling.
I hope it's that. I hope it's actually.
Yeah, that's the best case. And if you're going to have a staff shakeup, you want it to be after the season, right? So
sure. Yeah.
Because I just don't see Hugh Freeze like taking over as play caller this year. I think he would have done it by now if that was in the cards. So
no, and there's just no winning. Like there's no way you can really win from a vision or image perspective at this point in time. Right. I said it sort of tongue in cheek a few weeks ago. You're
right. You're right.
But I don't think that it was planned this way. I don't think it was planned this way for that reason. I think, Hugh wanted to stay out of it to recruit. And I still think if he could, or if he felt like he could, he would stay completely out of it and just recruit. And hopefully we get to the 6 or 7 wins. But I mean, for whatever reason, again, we're not there. I just know that this is not who he is. It's not who he's ever been. If you say that, you're just factually incorrect. He has never run this type of offense of split packages with quarterbacks at the rate of having your guy have 26 to 27% of the snaps. That's never happened. That's never happened. So that's not the vision moving. That can't be the vision moving forward. It's not going to be the vision moving forward. So, for whatever reason, he feels like he's got to step in and make it happen. So hopefully, they get it figured out over this week and you can go. We need it. The fan base needs it. The fan base needs it. But they've showed up. They've showed up big time. 2 big SEC games. You've been in them, but you've sort of laid in 2 eggs, so to speak, offensively. And you're just wondering how much more can they keep coming to coming and giving it all like that. So we need it bad.
Right. We do need it bad. And I think we can get it. It's going to be a new looking offensive line, Charlie 5.
Yes.
And I think that's good for the future of this program. We discuss in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a beautiful and very nice refrigerator behind Charlie 5. He won that because he's so good at playing PrizePicks, and you can 2. PrizePicks, it's you against the numbers. You don't have to worry about the sharks or anything like that. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then you watch the winnings roll in for Auburn offense. Just go less consistently, and you're probably going to be right up to this point. But all joking aside, you can win up to 25 times your money this football season. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and then you can place your entry. It's really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in like 60 seconds or less. Charlie 5, you play PrizePicks as well. It's very, very fun. So go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LockedOnCollege for our first deposit match up to $100. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege. Use code LockedOnCollege for our first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. That's PrizePicks. Charlie 5 joining us on this Charlie Tuesday. So Hugh Freeze yesterday said, and I kind of hinted this on yesterday's show, but Avery Jones is doubtful for Saturday, it sounds like. Connor Lew will go in his stead if that is the case. And just talking to folks around the program, within the program, whenever Connor Lew comes up, they light up. And they're like, they always have to add, he's not a freshman. He's not a freshman. He doesn't play like a freshman. You talk to other players, they say, oh, we think he's a junior. Like, he plays like he's a junior. And it's just so nice because Avery Jones comes in and we're like, this guy's played so much college football. And the fact that he's being compared to this guy who's been playing college football for 5 minutes speaks the world of Connor Lew, in my opinion. And I think just knowing that, okay, Connor Lew's going to be your starting center next year, unless something crazy happens. You've got Muskrat and Xavier Miller coming back. You may have Dylan Wade coming back. We'll see what the NFL thinks of him at the end of the year. It's going to be nice to have multiple offensive linemen returning, Charlie 5. I think that's going to be a really, really fun part of this. But yeah, Connor Lew, give him as many reps as possible. Yeah,
hate it for Avery Jones, but I think for the long term of Auburn, having essentially a 3-year starter at center is a big deal. And barring injury or something crazy happening, this was one of Hugh's immediate recruiting wins when he got here to go down there and get him from get him to flip for Miami. So it's a big deal. I'm happy for him. I kind of thought it was a matter of time. Midway through the season, towards the end of the season, I kind of felt like he was going to take over at some point, either at guard or maybe center if there was an injury or something, like have to move somebody around. I just always felt like eventually he would be part of that, put the 5 best guys out there. And he's in there. He played good. He played really good Saturday, and I'm excited to see how to kind of build that offensive line around him. And you mentioned several guys that return. There's another guy, Dylan Cinda, I think, the Northwestern kid who pushed quickly in fall camp at one of the guard spots, and I think he even played some right tackle. So you do have some options. Maybe it's not as huge as they bring in 5 dudes from the portal to plug this up. Maybe you just get a couple here or there, shore up some spots, and you got something to kind of build off of.
Yeah, I mean, replacing Gunnar Britton's a big deal, right? I mean, that's going to be huge. But hopefully you can find another guy of that caliber in the portal, and maybe you focus all of your efforts on him instead of trying to get like 4 or 5 guys from the portal. We'll see how they handle that moving forward. But I personally love the future of this offensive line, and that's something we haven't been able to say in a long time. And I think they've done fine. Freeze praised them a little bit yesterday in their ability to run block, specifically Avery. But it's like, I think all of these guys, the more that they're in the system, the more they're going to benefit from it. And so I think all of these guys coming back next year, assuming they do, I think Wade's the one that's most up in the air. I think you would agree with that.
Wade would be like getting if you could get him to stay, that'd be just as good as getting a top guy from the portal. So
yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Make it worth his while, if you know what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if like the NFL is going to love Dylan Wade. Like, he's not tall enough to play tackle at the next level. I don't think there's very few tackles that size. So, he may project to be a guard at the next level. And it's like, well, are you going to make as much money doing that? Genuinely don't know. So
exactly. Your top draft picks are typically going to be your tackles, and like if your guards, you can get guards by the dozens late in the draft. So do you know? I think all of that's going to depend on his NFL grading. Like whenever I'm sure he's going to go through the process, and
he should.
I would encourage him to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you get a Dylan Wade back, now you're talking.
That'd be huge.
Yeah,
that'd be huge. You get one other guy, and then you're set. That'd be awesome. That'd be a great situation to be in. So, Charlie 5, thank you for your time as always, my friend. How can people check out everything you've got going on?
Absolutely. Follow me on Twitter at _Charlie_5, Locked On Auburn Discord, auburnlive.com, the corner message board, or weekly on the Dad by Golf Pod.
Yeah, and you can find all my written work at auburndaily.com and become a Locked On Auburn insider by clicking the link in the episode description down below. We will see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.